Well, hello there and welcome to the Music and History channel. I'm Colin McKay, and yes, I'm going to be talking about music and history. I'm going to be highlighting different songs, and first song I'm going to highlight is going to be Hound Dog by Elvis Presley, or rather, the most famous version is by Elvis Presley, originally done by Big Mama Thornton. I'm going to be studying the differences musically between the two songs and why ultimately Elvis's version became better well known, although we certainly cannot ignore the music business practices and the social ramifications of the 1950s in that equation, because that does add into it. So Big Mama Thornton recorded the song in 1952. It was written for her, customized by Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller, a couple of white Jewish teenagers from Los Angeles who loved rhythm and blues music. And they were asked by Johnny Otis, another famous musician, band leader, songwriter, whose biggest hit was Willie and the Hand Jive, to write this song for Big Mama Thornton. And they came down and they met her, and they got this idea about a hound dog, a guy who's a gigolo, a freeloader, doing his woman wrong. And Big Mama went about singing it and putting all that personality into the song. So musically, it's got an electric guitar, a bass, and a drum set, played by Johnny Otis, who gives it a mambo rumba beat. He's feeling the song. He's changing the beat around a little bit here and there. It's given it this very relaxed and seductive groove, about 75 beats per minute. And the guitar is answering the vocal. It's a big hit, you know? A lot of people think that Elvis ultimately stole the song from Big Mama Thornton, but this is just simply not true. Big Mama Thornton's version is a big rhythm and blues hit when it's released in 1953 and spawns many cover versions of it in the rhythm and blues charts, and even spawns answer back songs, which was a trend in the 1950s. Now, the story, did Big Mama Thornton make a lot of money off the song? No. Did Jerry Lieber and Mike Stoller make a lot of money off the song? No, they didn't. Don Roby, who was the president of Peacock Records that released the song for Big Mama Thornton, well, he made a lot of money. African-American businessman, a bit notorious, but he probably wasn't doing anything, again, that wasn't out of the business norms for the song. Fast forward a couple years, you got Elvis Presley, pioneering this rockabilly sound, a mix of jump blues and country music. He hears a band called Freddie Bell and the Bellboys doing a song in Las Vegas. And they're a parody comedy novelty act, and they do Hound Dog. And they're the ones that changed the lyrics. You ain't never caught a rabbit. So that you are actually singing to an actual dog. And Elvis started to incorporate it into his live act because, it was something fun to do. And he also added in the slow down part. You ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend of mine. He sings it on television along with a few other songs on national television, and his record company thinks this is great and he should record Hound Dog. In fact, they insist he records Hound Dog, which Elvis is a bit like, really? That song's just kind of something silly I do on stage. And they're like, no way, it's going to be great. And he's like, okay. So he sets about recording it as entertainingly as he possibly can. And what happens in that version of the song compared to Big Mama's version? The drum beat goes from a mumbo to a backbeat. Boom, bap, boom, bap, boom, bap, simplified, which was already beginning to happen in a lot of up-tempo country western songs and jump blues. So Elvis was using that kind of beat. Scotty Moore, the guitar player, giving it this incessant eighth notes, and he makes it very repetitive. Whereas in Big Mama's version, the guitar player is he's having a conversation. It's very seductive. It's very, it's grooving, it's changing. Whereas the Elvis version has got this more youthful and forward-moving energy. The drums also play the same drum beat, drum fill every time. You ain't never caught a rabbit and you ain't no friend. Does that every time. The hand clapping in the song, reinforcing beats 2 and 4. And then finally, the Jordanaires doing the background singing during the solos, which really smooths it out. They were a very professional singing group. So it's not a ragged harmony. And then Elvis repeats the first verse again. His diction is very clear. All of these qualities, the repetitiveness, makes it, more pop. The way they're playing these instruments, the sounds, the timbres, the tones, sound new and exciting at the time. And this is why, Elvis's version sticks in our mind a little more. Does that mean it's better than Big Mama Thornton's? No, not at all. I love both versions. So, but they are different moods. Now, did Elvis's version get a lot more exposure? A white singer has access to all the radio stations and the television shows. Yeah, sure he did. Big Mama Thornton did not have that kind of access, musically speaking, and that was always going to limit her audience just by the very nature of the 1950s music industry. But then again, Big Mama Thornton's version was not written to be a pop hit. It was designed to be written for her, for a certain audience. So in that regard, it is unfair to judge them on those two merits. It wasn't like they were having a pop songwriting contest at the time, or a recording contest. That was not happening. So I just wanted to point out some of the musical variations that make a song perhaps seem more accessible to the average music listener. And that's going to be some of the things I'm going to be talking about here on the Music History Channel. Once again, my name is Colin McKay, and I hope you enjoyed a little bit of history about Hound Dog.